All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and play around in the grammar sandbox of comparatives. You know, we actually use these every single day, usually without even realizing it, just to describe the world around us. Whether you're out shopping, complaining about the weather, or just pointing something out to a friend, you are naturally making comparisons. So today, we're going to learn exactly how to construct these comparisons in English, effectively turning you into a master of describing differences.
Here's a really quick roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to start by defining what a comparative actually is, look at the magic word that glues it all together, tackle our 3 core rules for short adjectives, and finally, put your new skills to the test.
Okay, moving right into section 1. What are comparatives? This is all about comparing exactly 2 things.
So the absolute most important thing to take away here is that a comparative is only used when we're looking at exactly 2 things and noticing a difference between them. As human beings, we just love to categorize and contrast things, right? When you look at 2 objects, your brain immediately registers differences in size, speed, age, or quality. A comparative is literally just a tool you use in English to express that specific observation out loud. Remember, the golden rule here is the number 2. 2 people, 2 places, or 2 things.
On to section 2, the magic word, fan. It's the anchor of comparison.
Now, what's really cool is that you'll almost always find this one magic word anchoring your sentence. That word is then. Once you change your adjective into its comparative form, you absolutely need then to introduce the second object you're looking at. For example, if we say a cheetah is faster than a dog, the word then acts like a bridge connecting the cheetah and the dog, which lets us compare their speeds perfectly.
Let's look at how to actually transform these words. Section 3, Rule 1, Short Adjectives and the Basic Transformation.
This is the simplest rule in our sandbox, and honestly, it's going to be your go-to move most of the time. If the descriptive word you're using has only one sound, meaning it's just one single syllable when you say it out loud, you literally just tack the letters ER right onto the end of the word. It is that straightforward. Let's look at the base word tall. It's one quick sound. By adding it seamlessly morphs into the comparative taller. So if we're looking at 2 people, John and Mark, we can just say John is taller than Mark. And you can do this with other single-syllable words too. Fast becomes faster, like my car is faster than yours. Or old becomes older, giving us this building is older than the school. It's incredibly consistent.
But you know, English always has a few slight variations, right? So section 4, Rule 2, dealing with words that already end in E.
Now, what happens if our puzzle piece already has an E at the very end of it? Well, English is actually kind of efficient here. You don't need to add another E and create some weird double E spelling. You just drop the E from your ER ending and simply add the letter R.
Take the word nice, for example. It already has an E. We just add the R and boom, it becomes nicer. This lets us beautifully compare today's weather directly to yesterday's by saying the weather today is nicer than yesterday. The exact same goes for a word like close. Add an R, you get closer, allowing you to say, my house is closer to the park than yours.
This brings us to section 5, Rule 3, the CVC rule, which stands for Consonant-Vowel-Consonant.
Now, this one requires you to look just a little bit closer at the letters. If your short, one-syllable word ends in a consonant, then a vowel, and then another consonant, a CVC pattern, you have to double that very last consonant letter before you add your ER ending. Let's see this CVC rule in action. Look at the word big. B is a consonant, I is a vowel, and G is a consonant. Because it follows that CVC pattern, the final G doubles up to become bigger, spelled with 2 Gs. That gives us the perfect word to compare our 2 animals. An elephant is bigger than a mouse, and we see this all the time. Think about hot becoming hotter with 2 Ts. Summer is hotter than spring. Or sad becoming sadder with 2 Ds. The movie ending was sadder than the book.
Before we jump into our challenge, let's just take a bird's-eye view of our entire rulebook journey right here. These are your 3 primary tools for comparing 2 things using short adjectives. Rule 1 is your standard edition of ER. Rule 2 is your super efficient edition of just R for words ending in E. And Rule 3 is the CVC pattern, where you double the final letter and add ER. Go ahead and take a quick mental snapshot of this.
Okay, section 6, time to practice. Let's test your skills. It's your turn to apply what you've learned to some real sentences. I'm going to show you a sentence with a missing word, and you have to apply the right rule. You ready? Looking at our first sentence, we have a train and a bicycle. We're comparing two things. Our base adjective is fast. Can you figure out how to morph the word fast to correctly complete this comparison? Take a second to think about the ending of the word and the number of syllables.
If you guessed faster, you are absolutely correct. Fast is a single-syllable word that doesn't end in E and isn't a strict CVC at the very end. So turning fast into faster is definitely the way to go. A train is faster than a bicycle. Great job! Let's look at the next one.
Here's your next challenge. We have a blue shirt and a red shirt. The adjective we want to use is cheap. What comparative spell are we going to cast on the word cheap to make this sentence grammatically perfect?
Exactly. This is another classic Rule 1 application. Cheap is one syllable. We simply add an to give us cheaper. The blue shirt is cheaper than the red one. Also notice how our magic word than is sitting right there in the sentence, bridging the two shirts together. All right, for our final puzzle piece, look closely at the spelling of the adjective in the parentheses. My dog is blank than your cat. Our word is big. Tell me the comparative form. And more importantly, visualize in your head exactly how it's spelled.
The key here is noticing that CVC pattern we talked about earlier. Consonant, vowel, consonant. Because big ends in that pattern, we literally have to double the G before adding our ER to make bigger. My dog is bigger than your cat. If you got that double G in your mind, you are officially mastering comparatives.
You've completely mastered comparing exactly two things with short words today. You know the magic word van, and you know the 3 rules to transform short adjectives. But all of this leaves me wondering, what happens when our adjectives get longer? What if we want to compare two things using words like beautiful or expensive? I mean, you can't just say beautifuler, right? That sounds totally wrong. So how do we tackle multi-syllable comparisons? Well, that is a massive question, and one we are definitely going to have to explore next time. Until then, keep observing the differences around you, keep practicing these new rules, and stay curious.